Nobody's actually easy to be with or around. Friends or even romantic relationships, every person who you build with is going to have triggers, insecurities, and have days of being in a bad mood or just simply poor communication habits. Societal expectations push this weird narrative that friendships or a romantic relationship should ultimately be effortless. Rather, instead, some people will say that only about friendships, right? They'll say that friendships should be effortless, but romantic relationships should require work. I actually heavily disagree with this. Baggage is a universal thing. You can't expect a friend to never be annoying, needy, or distant. Are you saying as well, like, you shouldn't do any work for friendships as well? Like, it's like friends require no work. Like, this is actually very difficult for me myself because I tend to get insecure when a friend gets distant. But what's funny is that every time bro calls me or something, he just mentions that he's been working and I know he's a workaholic. So I'm just being clingy. Same with relationships too. Like, we don't need to talk 24/7. I'll survive. You'll survive. But like I mentioned about my clingy behavior, sometimes we slip. We get annoying or too needy or again, distant. Conflict is completely normal too. You and a friend can argue or get into some situation, and people oftentimes view it as a sign to end a friendship. And I feel like when people do that, they're avoiding the perspective that sometimes understanding is required for situations. Not every situation will end in forgiveness, but an understanding is more important than resentment sometimes. I actually talk about that in another video, but like sometimes we act like other people or yourself as a friend or a lover is low maintenance when it's far from the truth. I think the closest friends I have, people who I can genuinely call my best friends, are people who are active listeners. Don't get it twisted. Not active listeners as in always accepting my baggage. No, active listeners where instead of judging things I'm going through that is causing me to be a difficult friend, they are more committed to learning about it. They were more committed to accepting quirks, right? And having tolerance for me being different without them taking it personally. And then that's when they could give me feedback on a situation or a criticism or so forth. This is why you need to be careful who you talk to, because I'm the opposite of that, right? I take a lot of stuff personally, especially if it's baggage. However, I can tolerate a lot of quirks of people. I actually find people who are weird or quote cringe by popular opinion to be enjoyable. Like to me at least, like I don't even if I don't understand it, like dang, bro is weird. But like I won't take it personal or anything. And some people are the opposite of that too. They don't have tolerance for weird people or cringe personalities. You get what I'm saying? So like this is what I mean about how I realize my closest friends are people who can tolerate my quirks, and I could tolerate their quirks, right? And they're open to understanding and growing despite my moody days or their moody days, my triggers or their triggers. Remember when I mentioned the clingy thing before with me? This is an example of me being intolerant though, you know what I'm saying? And this is how friendships, relationships, whatever, get ruined. The friend I'm referring to, he gets stressed very quickly and easily, right? He also has anger issues and his career doesn't make it any better. So he withdraws from social things when he gets stressed. But here I am taking it personally, like this, it's about me instead. Like, why am I making it about me? What about him? The world doesn't revolve around me. You know what I'm saying? Let's not take it personal. If there was an issue, he's a grown man and he can confront me about it. But if he can't, then so be it. You know, people change. Friendships and relationships will end because one person evolves and the other person remains stagnant. That's just part of life. You can't just sit there and wait for somebody, you know, but it doesn't need to end. The friendship doesn't need to end that way unless you or they, one of you, chooses not to adapt to that new version of one another, right? And sometimes that might be a good thing to do, right? Not adapt, because someone's new version may not align with your current priorities or life, right? Does it mean stop being friends? I don't think so. So just because we don't hang out anymore, we're not friends? Just because we don't do this and we're just not friends anymore? Like we have to talk every single day? We have to do stuff together? Like, and if we don't, we're just suddenly not friends? Like seriously, I don't think so. But that's what I mean about like, we act like friction, differences, evolving, and other expectations are wrong. What family, friend group, or anything doesn't experience conflict? What doesn't? Seriously, like it's just part of the human experience. My best friend freaking became a truck driver and I never get to talk to him anymore because he's always driving. He has poor internet service. You know what I'm saying? Like he's making a ton of money and he moved to something else. but I'm happy for him, but now we can't talk or hang out anymore. Okay, well, he's still my best friend, and I will accept these changes. When we see each other, we see each other. You know what I'm saying? That's it. It is what it is. Relationships, people act like that rule doesn't apply to relationships, right? Some people put so much high expectations to their own needs and desires, they make relationships very difficult to be in with them. It doesn't mean I don't like you or love you. Let me work, bruh. Let me focus on this. I need to live life too. I'm not going to neglect your existence, but why can't we just coexist? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not thinking about like, see, this is what I'm talking about when people act like the world revolves around them. And like, I just talked about how like, I'll do that too. Like, dude, he ain't replying. Bro ain't replying because he's probably busy or stressed about something. Stop poking it. Like, stop, like, you know what I'm saying? Stop bothering. And again, this expectation that people have, and I think they do it worse for relationships because they have higher expectation from societal standards. Honestly, my favorite bonds I've ever had with people, friendships or romantic, are those where I don't feel like I'm being pulled away from my own life. I don't need to sit there and babysit your emotions or your life or help you deal with your problems all day and night. I'm not about to sit on the phone with you until like 2 a.m. every night, bro. Like, I like to live my life too. I like to sleep. I like to handle my own problems and enjoy my own things. Real friendships, relationships, or whatever is about knowing nobody is easy to be around truly, but they'll stay committed and understand to be tolerant to someone who they're speaking with or dealing with, and they're willing to grow and understand you while you do the same, hopefully, right? In my opinion, that's the best. Anyway, what do you guys think? This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.